Good evening, Genesis 13. We've got Abram and Lot together. They've returned from Egypt. They're back in the plain of Moreh. Abram and Lot are having strife. Their herdsmen are bickering, fighting, because Lot is a very rich man with a lot of cattle and a lot of flock and a lot of tents, meaning he's got a lot of people with him. And Abram, now known as, is also very rich, maybe richer. He's got a lot of silver and a lot of gold and a lot of cattle. They're bickering because they're in a land that was struggling with famine. Nothing was growing. There wasn't enough to go around. And the herdsmen are fighting for a grazing land. And so Abram approaches his brethren, Lot, and he says, let's not fight. We can't fight. We're brethren. So you choose. We need to depart from each other. We need to separate. If you go right, I'll go left. If you go left, I'll go right. Abram is initiating. Lot follows Abram around. Abram doesn't follow Lot around. Abram is showing leadership here. He's saying, I give you the choice, my brother. You go left, I go right. You go right, I go left. And so Lot agrees. He looks to the east and he sees the plains of Jordan, how fertile they are. And he says, I'll go east. So he does. And he goes towards Sodom. Sodom is exceedingly evil in the eyes of God. And so Lot stakes his claim there, next to those evil cities. He's living with his people in the cities of that area in Jordan. And Abraham stays put, Abram. And God says to Abram, now that Lot's gone, I want you to look all around you. Lift up thine eyes. Look north, look south, look east, look west. This is your land that I will give thee. I see it says, I will give thee. We'll see what happens in chapter 14. It doesn't necessarily mean it's his right now, from what I can see by the language. But he says, go walk all around this land and check out your land. So Abram lifts up his tents, takes them, and moves on to another plain. It's called the plain of Mamre. Now, what I noticed about this is Abram shows servant leadership and sacrifice to his brethren. He says, you choose where you want to go, and I'll do the opposite. He gives them the choice. Lot, seemingly lesser in character, because we're not descendants of Lot, we're descendants of Abraham, so to speak, Father Abraham, seemingly lesser in character, sees what appears to be the nicer land for grazing, more fertile, and he chooses that. But in so doing, he actually puts himself and his people in a place of more danger, of more wickedness, of more scrutiny in the eyes of God. And Abram, through sacrifice, chooses the less fertile land. In that land, God says, this I promise to you and to your seed. Your seed will be more than anybody can count. If a man could count the dust, your seed could be counted. In other words, you will have innumerable offspring beyond counting. I leave this land here as an inheritance for your line. That's where we're at. It's funny because Lot chose the more fertile ground, but as we will see, that's going to turn out to bite him. And Abram sticks with the less fertile ground, but that ends up blessing him. So what I get from that is not everything that shines and glimmers is gold. Sometimes there's a diamond in the rough, if you will. And so we'll move on to Genesis 14 and beyond. That's Genesis 13. I hope you have a good one.